Dhan Raj Purohita.
Hello, Hasim. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
Hello, Dan.
I'm doing fine. How
Yeah.
are you guys?
I know you came was it last week or the week?
Done.
Yeah, I came last week.
I know you waited
before-
a long time, and
Yeah,
apologies
before
for that.
as
It's just
well.
that sometimes
No problem.
I like taking callers who haven't been here before to give them an opportunity as well. It wasn't nothing against you, nothing personal. So just want to make
No problem at all. See, it's been 2 weeks. I'm 2 or 3 weeks. I've been trying. I think before third week I spoke, but you have put me on the backstage, thinking that you can take me at a later point of time. But I think there were too many callers, so I disconnected.
Yeah. So now is your chance to make up for that, inshallah.
Yeah, I want to continue with the conversation which we had about the will, the intention, right?
Yeah.
So my question was put forth because I understand for Muslim, the purpose being given by Allah, right? The purpose has been given by Allah to worship
existence.
Allah.
Yeah. So just to remind the audience, I'm assuming you're from the Advaita Vedanta philosophy, yeah?
Yes, I'm from Advaita.
Okay, so and you're a Hindu, yeah?
I'm Hindu.
Yeah, because many people won't know what's Advaita Vedanta either. So, yeah, I mean, Islam Hakim and Zishan both are here, and myself. So just maybe restate your question and tell us exactly what you want us to engage in. What kind of topic?
So my question was that if Allah is a self-sufficient being, then then he cannot assign any purpose. He cannot, because what I mean to say is that there's no need for him to create anything. The self-sufficient means he's not lacking anything. And the moment Allah gives a purpose or Allah has a purpose, it means Allah is lacking something. Therefore, he created the universe.
Yeah, so I remember this one, and I thought it had been resolved because, I mean, we agree with you in that Allah does not need to create us. He is not in need of us. He does not need to create. But where we disagree is you can want something that you don't need, and it doesn't imply a lack.
You have to demonstrate me, because this is the conversation which we had. So you have to demonstrate me within this world. Okay, because what I understand, the intention could be either you lack something or the intention could be from fullness. Right?
No, you see, because
dancing.
It could be that something else lacks something. So, for example, I walk past a homeless person, and I'm perfectly full. I've fed and I have money, but this person's hungry. He lacks something, and so I desire to give him something that he lacks. And
I agree.
give it to him.
I agree. So the background is lacking there. Like you may be a compassionate.
But in this case, the lacking is not of me. It's I can see he is lacking something, and so I can fulfill that. So this is in the case of need, just one, right?
The question arises that when nothing was created, how can Allah lack something? Because how can Allah assign purpose? There was nothing in the existence.
So the point of contention comes down to you sort of fundamentally take as an axiom, as a foundation that you will not move from, that if anything is done, it is only because there is a lack of something. No, well, in that framework, I mean, I disagree with that framework anyway. However, I can understand it. But if you insist that we must use your framework, despite, from my perspective, it being quite a poor framework, but if we insist we have to use that, then the lack is not in the God. He is never lacking. The lack is in the things that are not God. In the case of before anything was created, there was nothing other than God. So you could say there was a lack of things other than God, in which case he decided to create things for reasons known best to him, but it seems to be a good choice. And then after the things were created, then yes, those things are always in some sense lacking, meaning they could always be improved. And indeed, he improves things, and that's what he does. And once we have the judgment day and go into the afterlife and Jannah, he will constantly improve the life there indefinitely. So we can make things fit in that framework, but we just have to stop trying to insist that there must somehow be a lack on Allah's part. Because at that point, you're describing Allah. You're describing a different idea.
Now, are you suggesting that we cannot use a human framework on Allah? Because when I see a human being, I see the intention only arise from two things, or three things, let's say. Either a person lack, or either a person is fulfilled, or in between, like he oscillates between lack and fullness.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that framework's pretty weak. I think it's not a good framework for analysis anyway, even of human beings. However, I can understand it well enough to sort of adopt it and use it to.
You said the framework is not good enough for human being as well. You have any?
I don't think so. I think, for example, humans are more fundamentally driven by fear and love, and to sort of contort that into a lack or fulfillment framework is possible, but just not very useful and could be potentially misleading. So I just think there's a lot more things that drive people. It's a lot more complex, multi-dimensional question. I think it's oversimplifying things to say it's about lack and fulfill. That's my view. But I can understand. Well, I gave the example of fear and love.
So that's you're giving me third option where human being oscillate between fullness and lack, right? Lack of something. That's giving me the option, fear and greed.
But you
that
don't.
Means it. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. For me, I can be driven by fear. It's not a lack or fullness of anything, unless you want to say it's a lack or fullness.
Fear is lack of insecurity, my friend.
Well, so then you're taking this concept fear, and like I said, having to sort of squeeze it into this framework of lack and saying fear is defined relative to insecurity. And it's, for me, it's at best clunky. It's potentially workable, but it's certainly not fundamental and foundational. However, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because we've got to backtrack a little bit. Because you were saying, can we not apply the human framework to God? No, we can't. God is not a human being. It doesn't have the same modality, same way of being. Humans are made of parts. God is not made of parts, for example. So, yeah, the framework for God is the one that is outlined in the Quran.
Okay,
that's the one we're using, and it is different from humans because he is different from humans. So yes, we already have a problem picking up a framework which is not even that great, to be honest, for humans, but could be made to work. But trying to then squeeze the framework for Allah into that. Sorry?
When you say the framework which I provided you, right? The framework like fullness, lack of something, and oscillation between two. So human being works in those three framework. Do you have any other framework which you can suggest me, which prove the point that yes, there can be a purpose without lacking?
Well, I gave you before, for example. When I gave the example of the homeless person, I said there's no way in which
the background is still lacking. You may be the compassion.
Hang on a minute. But there was no lacking in me in that background. The lacking was of someone else. And so if we're talking about that situation, then, as I said, if you permit that, then yes, Allah's not the one lacking, but the not Allah, the other than Allah, that is where the lack is. In that lack framework.
Yeah, I mean, God is maximally perfect. You can't apply the same to creation as creator.
I understood.
Islam has always been consistent on this.
Hashim.
Yeah.
The point I want to make it clear, because he told if there is a homeless person, he is lacking something. So somewhere the purpose which inside you, a compassionate person, because you identify other person as human being and you have that soft corner, right? You identify that other person is also human being, I'm also a human being, right? So the compassion is flow. Either it's flow from lackness or either it's flow from fullness, right? So you may be full, you don't lack anything, but somewhere that lack of other person is triggering your purpose to help him. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but I gave an example specifically where there was a clear lack in order to connect with your framework. If I instead give the example of love, where I love someone and I do something to show my affection because I love them, there's no
It's
inherent
fullness, yes.
lack there. You can
There's
try
no
and
lack. I agree with you.
right. So, again, it's like I said, I don't disagree that all of this stuff can be squeezed into a framework of fullness or lacking, because all you've got underneath that, we could just say, you know what, forget fullness and lacking, and let's just call it 0 and 1. And we can say everything we can think of as being on some scale between 0 and 1. And as long as we break things apart into enough pieces, we can do that. Well, yeah, like binary and computer systems, or the continuous version of that, like Bayesian and stuff. Yeah, you're basically just saying, if you work hard enough, you could use maths to describe things. Okay, cool. Like, it's possible. I just don't think it's very effective, and I don't think it's very fundamental. But that's not really going to help us when it comes to God, because if you're going to use that framework, then in order to use it consistently with the concept of God, you have to put the lack everywhere except God. That's the only way you can include Allah in
I agree with
that
you.
framework. You see what I mean? So if you're going to use that framework, then you can't say that Allah is in any way lacking. Otherwise, you're describing a straw man. You're not describing Allah. Or we can avoid that framework altogether and discuss the will another way.
So from what angle then do you think the creator is lacking?
Hashim, give me a minute. I'll just answer Islam. I'll answer your question.
Yeah, sure.
Islam, you told me that you cannot apply that framework to Allah. I'm okay. I agree with you. The question is that the framework which I provided, right? It cover all the scenario in this world related to human being. I'm asking you, is there any other framework except this framework outside this framework? Can you suggest anything? Does anything comes to your mind?
Well, yes, I already did. I already gave the example. Where I think it's what I called a higher dimensional vector space, where there are many more attributes than just something that's full or lacking. I think, for example, some things go between full and lacking, which is 0 and 1.
That oscillate, yeah. So that's oscillate between fullness and lackness.
Some things go between 0 and 1. Some things much more naturally go between -1 and 1. And 0 then has a different meaning, which isn't lack, but balance, right? There's also some things much better fit that model. Some things better fit other models where you think of them as having geometry rather than a simple scaling. So, yeah, but like I said,
I'm asking about to relate it to human being, which we can understand. Like, you can put mathematical equation out of it, right? That maybe we can discuss about that later.
No, the reason I said the maths is just because full and lack is just equivalent to just saying 0 and 1, and the shades in between. It's no more fundamental than that. It's just another way of saying, full and empty. And then you can say so I raised, for example, fear, and you say, oh, it's just an emptiness of or a lack of full security, for example. Mm-hmm. And so yes, you can always use that framework, but there's nothing special about lack and full. It's just 0 and 1. It's or any intensity of anything. It's just a proxy for using an underlying idea of 0 to 1.
Yeah, you agree with my framework then. That's what I understood here.
No, I'm saying it, like I said from the beginning, it can be used. I just don't think it's the most useful framework, but it can be used.
You say it's
just to be careful again, when I said applying to Allah, I said we shouldn't expect to take a framework that is supposed to work for humans and then apply it to Allah. We should take the framework from the Quran. And so I gave that example as an example framework.
No, I agree. I already agree with you that.
Yeah.
I'm telling, when you say it's not useful or it's incomplete, when you use this term, because when you say that, so, that the framework is insufficient for human being, then I expect that you provide or you suggest some other framework which is different from the framework which I already provided to you. Because what because what I have done, I've tried to understood as deep as possible, and
Right,
I
so-
don't
but
see
this
any
is,
scenario.
I didn't. I see. I didn't fully describe the human framework, but I said, it's the one from the Quran, right? So we believe that we have a nafs, right, a soul. We believe there's a qayn that's attached to us, a jinn that's attached to us. We have our fitra, we have our qalb, our heart, right, and we have our physical body. These are the components, and then we talk about the dynamics of those components and how they interact with each other. This is our framework. This is where we start from.
So with those framework, does those framework violate the framework which I provided to you in any mean?
What do you mean by violate?
Does your framework discard my framework, which I told you that the purpose, either you have a purpose which is out of lacking something, or you have fulfillment where there is no purpose?
No, like I said before, your framework can be, and I already tried to make this clear in a few different ways, your framework can be used because it is nothing more than zeros and ones. So everything could eventually be expressed in it if you want to. Even non-humans, even rocks, even the formation of stars, even anything. It's just a generic idea that things can ultimately be boiled down to some number of scalars between 0 and 1.
So
there will be some limitations to it, but in terms of physical stuff or more complex things, but to go into them is I don't think particularly useful, because again I'd have to use the math to go into them. Otherwise you could just argue that it is actually a sense of fullness or lacking in some sense. So like I say, you can use it. I just don't think it's very effective. I don't think it's the most efficient or best framework. I think it's very simple to define, but I don't think it's functionally as useful as the Islamic framework, for example.
Okay, no problem, because again you told it's not insufficient, it's not complete.
Sorry, Dan,
no problem. You can Hakim, probably.
I just want to remind you something, that we have got a lot of people waiting in the back studio. If you can keep it brief as to what you want to really focus on, maybe.
No.
I think the Q&A was already over between you and Islam Hakim. So now make the point you came here for. Maybe that will help us to proceed.
Okay, all right. No, thank you, Hasim. I already made my point, right? Allah being self-sufficient, He lacks nothing. If He lacks nothing, there is no need for Him to create anything.
What makes you think you can decide what Allah needs to do or not?
Because if that is on basis of my understanding, considering human being.
Would you be able to ask these questions if Allah didn't create you?
I would not ask this. No, but there I'm taking an assumption that Allah created me.
Your questioning is irrelevant to Allah's purpose.
Your question has assumption that Allah created
I'm answering you. If you hear me out, it will make more sense, inshallah. Whether your opinion, to be honest, doesn't matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has the picture, you have only the pixel. So He has the more broader understanding of His purpose than we could ever fathom. Neither you nor I will be able to fathom that, let alone anybody else. I would say all of entirety of the human population, from the past, the present, and the future, they will not be having the picture. So until and unless you can say that your cognitive knowledge is the same as that of Allah, yes, then you will always be the person questioning. Maybe you get an answer sometimes, maybe you don't. However, that does not negate why Allah created us and for what purpose. In fact, He has already told us that our purpose is something that Allah has mentioned in the Quran already. Now you're saying, why did Allah create us? Let me ask you something. Does Allah need your permission or my permission? In fact, even your parents did not require permission from you to basically bring you in this world. Yeah, because you had no ability to ask questions at that point before you were conceived in your mother's womb. How can you question Allah when you can't even question your own parents? Because many people come to our stream and say, I didn't ask to be created. We normally ask them, did you ask your parents to bring you to this world? And they say no. You can't question your parents, let alone the creator of the entire universe and all of mankind and all of the existence. So I really don't understand your questioning this. Okay, yes, Allah is maximally perfect.
You're answering from Islamic paradigm, right?
Well, you're asking Muslims. You expect me to answer from an atheist paradigm?
No, I'm not telling you answer. You already answer from Islamic paradigm.
I have to, because that's how that's
so my
our
question-
framework. You love the term
No,
framework. Our framework is to answer from the Islamic perspective. You have come to a Muslim channel. Okay, we answer based on our Islamic framework. That's obvious. I think you're being
includes, which includes the use of reason, logic, and evidence, which is why, and I just, your restatement made me wonder if you had missed something that I said. So I'll just make sure it's clear, is we know that Allah has no need to create. It is not in need of his to create. He wanted to create. Any perceived lack or anything that would be in some way improved is to do with things that are not Allah. The set of things, in logical language, the set of things that are not Allah was originally empty. Then Allah started putting things in the set of things that are not Allah. And at that point, there became things that lacked. So if you really want to close the loop in a strictly logical fashion, you could say that the empty set was lacking contents. But again, it doesn't, I'm not sure how it helps you, but logically, there's nothing wrong with that position at all.
Yeah.
That you have included assumption in your logic, Islam. That's okay.
No, what might appear to assumption to you is actually I'm taking from the Quran.
Okay, no. So you have taken Quran as a base, right?
Correct.
Then you have answered. That's okay. Okay, Hasim, to answer your question, you have asked me the question like, what makes you ask the question that Allah has created? How can you ask the question to Allah when you're not asking a question to parents, right? Now,
about your existence.
About my existence. So I know my parents or any other parents, doesn't matter. They have created or they have
given birth,
given birth to a child. For either it's from fulfillment or from lack of something, right?
No,
so it oscillates between two.
No, it's not a lack of something. I'm sorry.
You're saying, he's repeated this since the start.
I told you.
One second. So your premise that you have assumed as axiomatic, and you have literally been building on that for the last 10 minutes. It's this notion that if you've created something, that implies a need. We don't accept that premise.
Okay.
In fact, it doesn't follow.
It's a non sequitur.
It doesn't follow. So you need to prove it, because we've told you, Hakim's told you, Hashim's told you, and now I'm telling you in very clear terms, we reject that premise. So it's up to you to prove it.
That's okay, Jana. Hasim, I was answering your question. Probably I'll try to answer your question as well, Jana. So Hasim, when I told, right, any parent, when they give a birth to the child, it could be from fulfillment or could be lack. It oscillates between two. 1 minute.
No. Look, it's fundamental to your discussion, because you have a premise. It's not about I'll answer your question first and then your question. Sorry, 1 second. Your whole discussion relies upon this premise that to create implies need. We reject that. Hakim's told you and explained to you. So if you are still set on that, then you need to prove it before you take the next step, and we hear the rest of your argument out.
Remember, you can't use anecdotes as the foundation of your logical proof, because that's what you were just doing.
You, Smile to Jannah, right? When you say if someone create and it's not from lacking, that means it is from fullness. I'm making your point. But the moment you add purpose, okay, it justify lacking. The purpose cannot be out of
reject
lacking.
That premise. Prove it.
Yeah, okay, done. I think Brother Zishan's made an important point, because your premise needs to be justified by you, because you're the one making it. And you keep using lacking and a need or something like that. Have you heard of accidental pregnancies?
Yes.
How would you define that? Was it lacking or was it an accident?
It was accident.
Unplanned pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of it? Where does it fall in your framework?
It oscillate.
No, where does it fall in your framework? Is it need or is it something else? Or is it lack? Which one is it?
There was a need base, because
an accident is not a need. An accident is not a need. A need is something.
But for accident to happen, there was a physical need which they were fulfilling.
No, it's not a physical need. It's a physical nature. You need to understand the difference between a need, which means you will something, and your nature. So when a male and a female, when they come together and they have intercourse, then this is not something which is a need. This is the nature of that action of theirs.
Agree. So nature, because they are
sometimes the procreation is an accident. That's the reason many couples, they terminate the pregnancy because they call it an accidental pregnancy, unplanned. So for them, that was not a need. That's why they terminated. For them, this is something which is not lack either. So your premise, you kept asking, for
I'm
example,
answering you.
this is an
I
example.
can answer.
This is an example. I want to know where it fits in your framework. Is it lacking or is it a need? Which one is it?
It is lacking. I tell you.
No, it's not. How is it lacking? They didn't want the
I'm
pregnancy.
I'm explaining you, my friend.
Okay, lack of what? Lack of a condom? What was it a lack of?
I tell you what is it.
I honestly don't know what lack of.
I tell you, Hasim,
Okay,
let me
go on.
explain.
What is a lack of? In an accidental pregnancy, what is it lacking? Please tell us.
You already, yes, let me answer.
Yeah, go on.
Please don't intervene when I'm answering, because
No,
again,
I'm
you
not
will
going to
ask the
interject.
same
Just answer the
question.
question to the point, and there's no need to interject.
Sure. So when you say it is accidental, because the moment it was accidental because there was
Action. There was an action.
Yeah. There was a need. There was a nature, to what do you say, physical relation to make a physical relation, because he was not self-sufficient, right? He was dependent on the other human being. You getting my point?
I'm trying to understand where's the lack. Get to the point and I'll understand.
Yeah, because
maybe.
It is the lacking, because if it
Lacking
was
of
not
what?
lacking.
Lacking of what?
Lacking of pleasure.
So it's a desire.
Attractions.
Oh, hold on. It's a desire, right?
It's a desire, yes.
Okay, so the desire was not lacking when they got pregnant. The purpose wasn't to get pregnant. It was a desire, which is the nature. The nature of a male and female to be attracted to each other.
Call it a fullness of desire.
How is it a lack? I don't understand.
Yeah, you could call it fullness of desire. You could call it a lack of fulfillment.
Right,
you could, whatever. It's just word games.
Yeah.
Okay, Hasim, desire is outcome of lacking.
No, it's not. Desire is the nature of the lust. That is the nature of a human being. They get attracted to the opposite sex. Because they're married, and this is natural for them to have intercourse. I don't see the lack. Honestly, I don't see the lack. The term you're using is
self-sufficient. Do you think they would have a desire?
No, hold on. When you say lacking, in this context, yes, you're actually saying it is their nature. That's what you're saying. So you're using the wrong terminology here.
Okay, I have answered. Let me answer again. The very nature of human being is lacking because he's not self-sufficient.
Yeah, he's not self-sufficient. We know that. But that is his nature.
Yeah,
the human's nature is not self-sufficient. But then you're trying to imply that just because it has certain attributes like lust or desire, that is its nature. It's not lacking in those things.
And the outcome of the nature is because he's lacking the self.
Okay, I think I'm done here. I'm circles. I'm sorry.
The fundamental thing.
Use better terminology because it's not making sense at all here.
The most important thing to bear in mind is yes, he is self-sufficient. We agree with you, Dan. He is self-sufficient. We agree with you there. We agree that there was no need for him to create. He is self-sufficient. There was no need to create, but he chose to create. If you insist on using the lacking framework, the only way to do that and still be describing the situation we talk about that we believe is that the lack is in the things that are other than Allah. There is no contradiction. There is no logical problem whatsoever with Allah being self-sufficient completely and totally and choosing to create us. There is no logical issue with that. If you think there is a logical issue, try and write it down in the form of propositions and premises.
Allah is not in need, even if he creates. He's self-sufficient. He's as-samad. Everything depends on him. He depends on no one. So for him to create, and one of his attributes is al-khaliq. He's the one who's a creator. What does a creator do? If he does not create, then he would be lacking, because that attribute of his clearly shows that he's a creator. Now, if he does not create, then yes, you would be correct that he lacks in an attribute which he cannot materialize. He cannot act upon it. What's the point of calling yourself a creator, but you can't create? The fact that he created shows and demonstrates that he is indeed the creator.
But slight precision there, it would be one who never created, because he was not lacking even before he created. Right? Being a creator is not an achievement unlocked once you've actually made something. He was always a creator before he even created anything. And he wasn't lacking before he created anything. He was entirely self-sufficient. He just chose that it'd be better, not for him, but for other things other than him, which didn't yet exist if he created them.
Yeah, so he was never lacking even, absolutely correct, Brother Islam Hakim. But the point is that if you have an attribute and you don't act upon it, then people like you will question that he's lacking. He's called himself this, but he's not, demonstrated it in reality. So the same question to you, Dan. Do you think Brahman is lacking? Because he created, according to you, he's the one who is the, basically he's everything, isn't it?
Yes.
You believe that? Okay.
I'll answer and how it's different from Allah.
Yeah, but I want to add one more question to that. For you, that everything in existence is Brahman. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Does ignorance exist?
I'll answer your question, Hasim.
No, but just answer this question and then you can.
This question is very deep, I would say, because this question has been discussed over centuries. So I cannot tell you in 1 or 2 lines. I need my own.
How many lines do you need to answer the question? Is Brahman, the god of the Hindus, is he also ignorance? Because everything includes ignorance, right? And in fact, ignorance does exist.
I have to go step by step to answer your question.
Okay, go on.
Okay. No.
Sorry, which question are you answering first?
No, I'm asking the question which you told, that does Brahman created out of lacking?
Hashim, should we conclude this this section?
I think maybe if you come back next week on that question, so take Hashim's question as a homework question, and maybe come back next
I'll tell you what.
I'll take a question.
It's quite a long answer. I know it can get very involved.
Ignorance.
Okay, I'll be fair with you. I'll tell you what. If you're patient, and if I'll hold you in the back studio today, we don't have many people. We got about 4 or 5 people. So if you're patient, maybe I'll take the question later on. So I'll put you in the back studio, and then you can take a break, join later, whatever you prefer. But we can take a question today. But you have to be patient for that. Is that okay with you?
No problem. It's 12:15 in India. Can I have 1 or 2 minutes and then I'll end my call?
Okay, have your 2 minutes. Go.
Okay. So Hasim, I was answering your question that when we tell Brahman and when we tell that he created, we don't use the term created. We use the manifestations. So it's that's an expression of what he is. It's not out of lacking. There's no purpose given.
You're saying the universe existed always, or it began to exist at some point?
Universe is the observable universe, which you call matters, right? That's a manifestation of Brahman.
That was my question. Did it always exist, or did it begin to exist at some point?
You're asking the question. We can get into it. That's okay.
But it's related to this point. That's why.
Related question, yes, because it will take another. You can ask question, and it will take.
No, but it's related to this point. You said the universe is a manifestation of Brahman.
My question, the answer which is given here is related to the question which you ask, right? That's different, which I'm highlighting here. That when you come to Allah create with purpose. Here, there is no purpose. It's just an expression of what He is.
But with or without purpose,
it's a fulfillment, expression of love.
But it doesn't change whether or not there's a lack or fullness of something. In your framework before, lack or fullness of something.
If you say Allah created with purpose,
it will full. Islam, if you say Allah created,
I'll tell you what. Rather than rushing it, let me bring you in later on. Okay, let's not rush.
Sure. It's 12:15 here, so I'll.
Yeah, I understand. Look, I'm not obliging you to stay in the back studio. No. If you have to go, you can go. But we are here every Thursday, as you know. So it's entirely up to you. But if you're patient, we'll take you in later on once we have done with the people waiting in the back studio. It's really unfair to them.
If you have to sleep, we'll be here next week.
Thank you, Hasim.
All right, thanks for your time, Dan.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.